Okay.
Great.
So, Wholeness Method. What is the Wholeness Method? Here's my elevator speech. The Wholeness Method, all complete with blowing my nose. The Wholeness Method is a system of healing, holistic healing, that I really have it down. A system of holistic healing that helps you access your subconscious blocks. It helps you return to natural states of health, vitality, and creative power by accessing your subconscious blocks and learning how to manage your energy field, your energy. And so this is a picture of the chakras and the energy field. And why isn't my arrows going? And sometimes when you come in for a session for the Wholeness Method, whether it's with me or another practitioner, and you can see a few of the practitioners on my website. There's others out there, but a few of them have I've listed. Some of the sessions look like this. We're sitting across from each other. We're talking. I'm asking questions, and I might use, most likely, I'll use muscle testing. Sometimes they look like this, where you're on the table and we're doing hands-on or energy work that's in the energy field, maybe hands-on, maybe not hands-on. So we're going to go over, kind of give you a short summation of what the Wholeness Method is, but this whole thing is, we're going to uncover some more layers of that. We're going to talk about the benefits, and I'm going to give you some techniques that you can take home and use. And this is experiential, so I'm going to have you also experience it tonight. So essentially, I just said this in a very awkward, stumbly way, but here it is in writing. It assists individuals to return to natural states of health, vitality, creative power by working with the body's energy systems and accessing the subconscious. I'll give you a little history here. This is a good time to do that. The Wholeness Method was born after years of me studying. Let's see, I started in the mid-70s studying energy medicine, meditation, yoga. I did an in-depth chakra class. And then went to massage school in the mid-80s, and then moved to Sirius, a spiritual community retreat center, and Eco Village in the mid-80s, and was there for 25 years. So I started a massage practice in the mid-80s and started incorporating other things like Reiki and the chakras that I learned about, and yoga. And then this practice, this modality called transformational kinesiology, TK for short. Need some tea. I was introduced to around 2000, and I fell in love with it for a number of reasons. I'll give you two. The top two. This modality it gave me a way, I could see a way that I could pull in every aspect of my education and my experience. So it pulled in healing, which I was doing through my massage. It pulled in my experience with chakras and yoga and meditation, spirituality, spiritual mentoring that I did at Sirius, into one modality. Loved it. Second reason, it used muscle testing, not past tense. It uses muscle testing to, primarily it uses it for almost everything. I've backed away from using it so much, but I love it for two reasons: to access the subconscious and to help access the superconscious. And we'll talk more about that. And the only other modality I've experienced that does this, that accesses the subconscious as well, is hypnosis. And this is not hypnosis. So it kind of blew me away. And I said, I want to do this. And how I got into the training is another whole story, for another time, but that was a miracle. So this was born out of, the Wholeness Method was born out of me taking transformational kinesiology, getting certified, and then all of my past experience blended into one. I'll leave it there. Top benefits. This is really what you're interested in, right? Why you would want a session, or why you would take a training, is like, what's it going to give me, right? That's what I wanted to know. So the addressing root blockages to healing on all levels, which is, most of them are found in the subconscious. So I'll give you an example of what I mean by healing on all levels. And so some people, let me back up. How do I want to say this? I think I'm going to stop sharing and just kind of be with you all. I want to see you. Because this is an important point. So the idea is that we are these energy bodies. We have energy bodies. We have a physical body, and we have an emotional or vital body. We have these sheaths. This is part of the yogic koshas, the yogic philosophy. And so this energy field, another way of saying it, this aura or energy field. Chinese medicine, works with the energies of the body. Many shamans, many different modalities. And the idea is that if there's illness, disease in the body, it starts somewhere in the energy field. So I had an injury. I fell on my shoulder. I ate some bad clams. I caught COVID. I got this disease. So most people would say, pointing to external, right? Well, no, there's this external event that happened. This is the root cause, this COVID, this virus, or this fall that you had and injured your, or these bad claims you had. So that's all true on one level. But somewhere so why in a room of 50 people may only 2 of those people catch COVID? Or why that same person could fall on their shoulder and not have that injury? And this, I was skeptical when I started this modality, and it proved itself over and over for me. I had many people who came and had injuries. One woman I'm thinking in particular had a shoulder injury, but many people came and they're like, yeah, I've injured this part of my body. And I knew I could help them, but it blew my mind that we would trace it back to the event, okay, when right before the injury happened, what happened in your world, and we could find an event, and we could find what I call a stress knot that gets planted in the energy field. So someone has some big event, some big emotions. They have beliefs that get formed or get revalidated. They make a big decision or conclusion, and then all of a sudden they have a fall and their shoulder's injured. Or I'll give you an example from my own life. I met my friend in Whole Foods parking lot. I was going in, she was coming out. And we happened to just park right next to each other. And she's like, "Oh my God, here you are." And she said, "What is wrong with your shoulder?" I was like this, and like, having to move my whole body. And I said, "I don't know. I must have slept down wrong, or I injured it, right? I injured it rock climbing or in yoga." And she's like, wait a minute, Deb. And she said, "Last time you had the same, shoulder thing, you were worried about your daughter and you were carrying her on your shoulder." So yeah, maybe I slept wrong, but what preceded that? And I'm like, oh, fuck, you're right. I went to visit my daughter this weekend in Boston in college, and I was worried about her Crohn's disease. And guess what? I worried about her, and I subconsciously took her on my shoulders. I'm like, I've got to worry about her. I've got to care for her. Wasn't a conscious thought, right? If I consciously thought of that, I'm like, no, I don't have to carry her. I don't want to, I want to love her up, but I don't need to carry her. As soon as I did that, I woke up with my neck
It
all a
was a
mess.
miracle.
And so I just had to, as soon as she said it, I'm like, you're right. And I went to what I call a goal statement, or some people might call it an affirmation or intention statement. And that was, I had to use all three parts. I've tried doing it one of these parts, but I would say, I see my daughter's firmly on her spiritual path of growth and learning, and I see her soul alive in her, directing her, and I see her in God's hands. And that my neck was fine. So that's an example of my from my own life, but lots and lots of. So I started practicing transformational kinesiology, and then later it transformed into the Wholeness Method in 2005 professionally. So I have lots and lots of stories that go along with this. And I'm not asking you to believe anything. This is not, like I said, I was really skeptical, and it works for me, and I'm not asking anyone to take on a new belief. On the contrary, I want you to shed all your beliefs now, which darn, why do I have two PowerPoints looking like well, why do I have two? Let me put my glasses on. Are they the same?
Because you had that booklet one before.
Oh, yes, thank you. One's a booklet. And can I tell the difference? I want to minimize the booklet so it won't keep doing this with me.
Minimize that, I think.
All right.
It's the one you want should come up where we left off.
I can't minimize Zoom, so I can't do that. So I'm just gonna have to. We're gonna play. We're playing. Oh no,
we just need to move along and get through this now in the next little bit. There we go. Okay.
Keep me on task, Kathy.
Keep going.
All right, benefits. So addressing root blockages to healing on all levels. This is physical, this is emotional, mental, spiritual, and goals. So if you can figure out what your blockages are, you can also figure out, all right, why am I, if my soul is yearning to what? Go to the Olympics and get a gold medal for swimming. Not my goal, but I've had clients want this, or become a golf pro, or an ultimate frisbee champion. We can find out what the blockages are. Access your intuition and inner sight, which is the same thing that I said before, or similar enough to tapping into your superconscious. And you can also learn to read and direct energy, your energy or others, if you so choose. Somebody just entered the waiting room, Kathy.
Yep. Got it.
Any questions so far? Pipe in, chime in, whatever the saying is. Pipe in. Pipe in the music. All right.
Yeah,
So what?
use the chat part at the bottom of the screen. It's probably the easiest while we're doing the presentation.
Yeah, that's true, because I'm
And
not going to see you.
we really do need to move this along now.
Thank you. I will.
Okay.
No more long-winded stories.
No more long-winded stories. No.
Well, there's going to be a few. So what techniques can you use today? So I'm going to give you a short little one, even though it seems really short and sweet right here. I'm going to flesh it out with lots of flesh. So it seems short. Decide on a goal or intention. Determine what's in your way, and then address that blockage or imbalance. So I kind of gave you I gave you a little example of it with my story in the parking lot. Not planned, but I like it. So I'm going to have you do this right now. Take a moment and just decide what you want to work on. You can create a statement, similar to, I had a 3-part statement for my daughter, but it could be just, well, what I'm working on right now is my creative block, or my relationship with money, or my relationship with my partner,
Yep.
and my health.
Could be shorthand, or it doesn't have to be full sentences or any particular vocabulary. But just take a minute now and write that down wherever you're writing things down, and we'll see where that takes us. I like this picture.
I do too. All right. If you have yours done, or if you know the topic, I'd like send us a chat and tell us what the topic is. I'd like to see.
Yep. Just
Maybe
type it
demo.
in the chat at the bottom. Yep.
Like to see what we're working on tonight. Help energize your goal. And while you're doing that, I'm going to go and look at the chat in a minute. But while you're doing that, I'm going to talk about why a goal or intention is. Why do we need, or why is it needed for this? For the technique I'm sharing with you. And I had something in mind here, and I'm blanking on it. Oh, I have it. So the wholeness method is, the foundational teaching is that we're already whole. We're already whole, complete, perfect. We don't need fixing. There's nothing we need to do or be. We don't need to prove anything to be worthy. So in innate, we have innate worth, we have innate goodness, and we're already whole. We're already interconnected. So why do we need? Why come see a practitioner? Why get on this webinar? Why set a goal? And the answer is, I was gonna I want to, okay, give me an answer, but for the sake of time, Kathy's keeping me on time. We want to do a demo at the end. So for the sake of time, I'll tell you the answer. Because most of us forget, or we've long forgotten, maybe we've forgotten it in childhood, that we were told we're bad, or we're given the message that we're broken. So whole doesn't mean that we can't at times feel broken. It doesn't mean that we're always feeling healthy. It doesn't mean that we don't feel grief. wholeness can encompass all of that, right? It can encompass the good and bad days, but it means that our being is whole, has integrity. It is interconnected with the whole universe, the whole cosmos, all of the beings. And again, these are possibly beliefs, and I'm not asking you to take on any new beliefs. I'm not asking you to believe me. Just suspend your disbelief and try it on. You have nothing to lose. So this is why we start with a goal, because we have forgotten we're whole, and the goal is going to help us get back there. It could be in a roundabout way. I'll allude to the goal that I had for my daughter, that I see her soul, I see her on her path, and I see her in Spirit's hands. And how is this help me, right? It helps me remember truth. It helps me remember our interconnectedness, that I don't have to subconsciously carry her on my shoulders and worry about her and feel responsible for her health.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Didn't mean
No,
to interrupt.
I wanted to take a pause and look at the goals.
Yeah, I was going to say we have a few. If you have, we're not like going to point out who said what. I mean, you all have access to this. Like one of the goals that we've got on here is I want to express my creative spirit and get back to creating my art. Somebody else is I want to be a bit more public facing in my work life. Thyroid function. I want to experience wholeness and complete health. If anybody else would like to share what their goal is, and it can be a shorthand way of saying it. You're the only one that needs to really know what it is.
Yeah,
I don't need to know, but
just put
but
a
it's
topic.
nice to share and get an idea of what people are thinking about. Yeah.
Yep. My goal is, part of my goal is to heal my perception of money and monetary systems globally and personally. Yeah, so please keep us informed. Just, you can send me even just a one-word topic, relationship, money, career. All right, going back to the slideshow.
Yep.
All right, second step is determine what's in your way. So there's a couple ways that we can access the subconscious without muscle testing. Since I can't reach through the screen and grab your arm and push on it, I'm going to instead have you go to your meditative mind. If you don't meditate, that doesn't matter. Just get out of your thinking mind, bring your attention down to where you're sitting on the chair, where your feet are planted on the ground, bring it down into your pelvic bowl, bring it down to your stomach, as low as you can bring it comfortably. Once your mind is there, don't bring it up once I ask the questions. Keep it out of the way. Just first thing that pops into your mind, what's in the way of your goal? First thing, jot down your answer. All right. Again, if you didn't get an answer, or you're not done writing, Don't worry, you can always come back to this. I can send you the booklet, which has all these questions. So no worries, you can come back to this. All right, so we're going to go a little deeper into what's in your way. A lot deeper, actually. So this is great for a quick answer. What's in the way of your goal? Sometimes that's it. But if you already knew what your answer was to this question, then you probably haven't gone deep enough. We want to get to the subconscious. So we want to get to an answer that you didn't already know or aren't completely aware of. So first, your biggest obstacle is likely inside you. So again, like I talked about before with health issues, and people point to, well, it's a virus, or it's food that I ate, or it's an injury that I fell, right? We want to point to these external issues, and those are, right, for me, again, I'll just talk about, since I talked about money, often I'll say, well, I just don't have enough money to do that, right? What's in my way of expanding my business? Well, I just don't have enough funds. And that's surface level. Go deeper, because there's something deeper, I assure you. So your real obstacle isn't money. It's not a virus. It's not something you ate. It's inside you. It's likely a subconscious block, such as conditioning, an old story or narrative, belief, decision, conclusion. And then once you determine what's in your way, then we can address those subconscious beliefs and thought patterns. And I'll tell you how to do that. I'll give you one way. So let's just take a little pause here and let me catch you up to speed on some of the terminology that I'm using, and give you, here's the mind map that I use. So harkening back to number A from the last slide, that your biggest obstacle is likely inside you. Well, what do I mean by inside you? This is what I mean. Here's the map. So imagine an iceberg floating out in the northern or southernmost regions of our globe. And we have, and this iceberg represents you, the being that you think you are, this separate being. It's actually, right, you're actually the ocean, you're oneness, but you think you're this separate being. And so we have this iceberg representing that. And there's this little tip of the iceberg, that's the conscious mind. This little tip is just a fraction of your mind, and that's the fraction that you're aware of. It's the fraction that that helps you move through your day-to-day life, makes decisions. That's your awareness, that little fraction. Everything else is below your awareness level. And everything that's below your awareness level, we call the subconscious mind. Everything that is above your above the water here, we call the superconscious mind. The superconscious mind is also below your awareness level. We also are not aware of it usually. But the superconscious mind is, we recognize as, we call it intuition. We call it the messages from the superconscious mind. We call it, sometimes we call it guidance or inner wisdom or inner knowing, higher wisdom. This is, some people call it the soul. Some people call it spirit. This is the place where we're all connected. And it's also not in our awareness, right? So how do we determine which is which? Talk about that a little bit more in a minute. But first I want to talk about how, especially in the subconscious, when we have a thought and that thought is repeated, it becomes a belief. And then when that belief is repeated, it becomes a behavior. And when that behavior is repeated, it becomes a pattern. When that pattern is repeated, it becomes a habit. And when that habit is repeated, or when it becomes strong enough for some reason, it can be an addiction. Excuse me. So this is a little snapshot of the subconscious mind. We're going to be revisiting it one more time. Any questions? This is the kind of this is one map that we use in the training. We use the mind map. We use the chakras, and the koshas is one map from the yogic system. And we use the meridians and the meridian points as another map. And here I have it. There are many maps to use on your inner journey. For tonight, we're using the mind map. And these are the next three principles are the principles that go with the mind map. Again, I want to just take a pause. Any questions? Put them in the chat. Kathy will prompt me if she sees them. First principle, the subconscious thinks in dualistic terms. I'm going to skip up here. I just want to this is going to make more sense if I go over this second slide. A part of this, I just talk about part of this second slide and then we'll come back to it. So the subconscious, I also called ego. It's a little different than what psychologists learn the ego. I believe they label the ego the conscious mind, and the id is the subconscious, and then the superego is the superconscious. I'm using slightly different from both my yogic training and my Course in Miracles. We talk about the ego as the subconscious. But what's more important is that this subconscious, the thought system of the subconscious is based on the idea of separation, where the superconscious is pure awareness and the experience of wholeness. So this is giving you a little hint on how you can discern between the two. You have these two thought systems that are below your awareness level, and you're getting messages from both. How do you discern? So I just wanted to talk about that before these slides. So now this is going to make a little bit more sense. The subconscious thinks in dualistic terms. It only sees two opposing options, such as black and white. Let's see, I can give you an example. Trying to give you one from my life. Oh, I have a good one. I just realized my Nana died, my grandma, in May, and I realized I had been identifying with my grandmother and my grandfather in specific ways. She was kind of the powerhouse, pushed him to charge money. He was the doctor. She was the doctor's wife, and she was like ran his business. And so I have these two ways of being, like the healer, like he was the doctor, and then also the business woman. And they're sometimes opposing. And my ego tells me there's only these two ways. You either have to, get out there and pound the pavement and be assertive and be go for money and go for success in the worldly version of success, or you be a healer, passive, give everything away, don't worry about money. I know that's not true, that there's only these two options, but subconsciously I was acting that I was either acting on my grandmother or I was acting on my grandfather. So it was very helpful to uncover that in my subconscious. That's an example of that last one. Second key principle. This is the big one. The belief comes first, then we see the proof. We think it's the other way around. I'm going to read that again. This is real important. The belief comes first, then we see the proof. We think it's the other way around. So we uncover a subconscious belief. Let me see, what would that be? I'll give you one from my example. I'll just give you one just from what I just said. So to be a healer, you have to be not thinking about money or business, and just be all healing and love and spiritual and all that. So if that's a belief, then I'm going to see the proof of it, right? Over and over and over. And it's going to reinforce that belief. And that proof that I see over and over and over, I think here's the proof. This belief must be true, where probably my belief comes first and then I see the proof. Not probably. I think that's true. My belief comes first, then I see the proof. So,
and it only takes about 419 times going through this to get it. So, and then you keep getting it.
exactly,
So if you're feeling
exactly.
confused, don't worry about it. But
But this, right? This is
yeah.
if I had to say one principle is the most important, I would say this is the most important for this work, because if we're uncovering subconscious beliefs, and you're like, no, I can't let this go because I see the proof. It doesn't work so well. Third, just relates. Everything is neutral and we assign it meaning. I'm going to quickly illustrate this. You're a newborn babe in your mom's arms or the nurse's arms and the doctor's, right? First person is holding you, and you look around and you see, I don't know if you were born at home or in a hospital or a birthing center, wherever, or out in the grass in the field somewhere, but you look around and you have no clue what that chair is or what that grass is or what that moon is or what that window is, what that scale is or what that stethoscope is. And over time you give it meaning, and one person might give it this meaning and another person might give it this meaning. And why this is important is again, to see how you're creating meaning from events, from I sometimes will say, what would life be without, if you let go of that story or that narrative? Because what I'm saying is that you assigned it meaning. You assigned that event the meaning that you're giving it. So 3 key principles. We're coming back to this. And I just want to say one more thing. I want to go over the labels a little bit. So the subconscious I call ego. The superconscious, it's spirit or your soul, higher self. The conscious mind, I call the decision-making mind. And this decision-making mind, I call it this because it makes the day-to-day decisions. It's what we're aware of as we're going through our day, but it makes no decisions on its own. It doesn't have the capacity to make decisions on its own. It's this little tiny part of our mind, right? Next to these, juxtaposed to these 2 much larger parts of our mind. So it has to make a decision either with the ego or the superconscious. And as we're going down the road and we're driving, a car pulls out in front of us and we nearly crash into it. We're going to have an immediate reaction from the subconscious of how we're going to react. Right? We can flip off and scream at the driver, or pull over and have our heart beating, or we could take a pause and connect with our superconscious and ask, what's the learning here? How should I respond? How do I want to respond? So the ego and the subconscious is reactive. It's based on conditioning, beliefs.
Deborah,
Yes,
let me interject something here.
please.
It's a few minutes before 8 o'clock. And we do want to see if we can do a demo in this, or we could do more detail on the presentation. I think there's a choice there. But I just want to be aware of the time and
Yep.
to make a decision about how we continue for the next little bit.
Yep. Let's give it 10 more minutes and we'll give 25 minutes to the demo.
Thanks, Joanne. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Joanne. All right. So addressing your subconscious beliefs and thought patterns. Um, there's three things to know about that. Discerning between your true and false self, or another way to say that is your subconscious versus your superconscious. So I call the subconscious also the false self. Um, different ways to refer to these. Uncover your internalized voices from the past, the shoulds and should nots. Right? Your parents are like, do this, don't do that. Eat all your peas, eat everything on your plate. Save money, go to college. And are you stuck in the past or the future? Will also be helpful to address your subconscious thoughts and beliefs. Kathy's going to share a little bit here, but I want to first go over this list and then have her share. How do you discern between your false and true self? What is your false? What is your false? Yeah. What is the false self? Oh, here it is. What is the false self you are identifying with? So we could just blanketly say, well, I don't know if that's a word. We can say generally the ego, or we can look at maybe like I gave an example of my grandmother or my grandfather, or maybe perhaps in this one case, I'm identifying as my grandmother. It could be another person, role, quality, a combination, such as good friend. So you could be identifying as a good friend, and somebody invites you out to dinner, a friend invites you out to dinner, and you're like, I don't want to go. I just want to curl up and be at home. But if I'm a good friend, I'm going to go. And there's your identification. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just this idea of a good friend, but it may be you're identified as being a good friend. So it's an even stronger pull when you have an identification, a subconscious identification. It's pretty it just means that you're emotionally pretty attached to being a good friend. And what are the beliefs that are related to that false self? So what are the beliefs related to being a good friend, or me being my grandmother? But I'm going to let Kathy just give her a brief story about discerning between the false and true self, if you so
Okay.
choose.
Yeah, this is something that's very, very present for me, very current for me. I was actually was during a session with Deborah using these wholeness method techniques that I got some guidance to um, every day practice discernment, sorting out if I have a decision to make, kind of what are the two positions, and they don't have to be opposing, like good cop, bad cop, angel devil kind of thing, but there's almost always going to be, if I'm stuck on something, there's almost always going to be at least here's what Kathy wants to do, and then here's what Kathy's soul wants to do, or words to that effect. You can separate it out in whatever language works for you. And I want to tell you, this is hard. It's hard for me to remember to do it. It's hard for me to remember what to do. And I have found that if I can't remember exactly what I'm supposed to do, if I just take a pause and say, okay, there's something I need to discern here, something I need to peel away, and just go into kind of a meditative place and say, all right, so my ego, Kathy, the physical person wants something, and my soul is saying, here's the direction to go in, and just kind of shut up and let it percolate a little bit. Somehow I get clarity out of that. I know that's not like saying, that's not like a recipe about how to make something, but this is actual experience that I've been going through like most days over the last several weeks, and it works. Somehow I feel in my body or somewhere in my energy field clearer about something. And other times it's as clear as day what Kathy wants and what my soul wants. So you can also think of it as being versus doing. My watch just thought I was talking to Siri here when I was saying soul, I think. So it's okay, go back to sleep. Um, you can also think of it in terms of uh, I want to be doing something, I want to be active in doing something, or do I want to just be and be internal and be relaxed and do something? And this may or may not be any clearer than it was a couple minutes ago when I started talking. But it is a true life example of this idea of discernment and trying to tease out what are the kinds of conversations I'm having in my mind, move that out of the way and just let it filter through and come to something that feels right for me. That's about the best I can
I like
spin, I
it.
can put on it this evening. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks, Deborah.
I think most people can relate to being versus doing what it feels like in an outer way, like I'm busy doing and I want to be more. I want to let the doing arise from being. But we don't always apply that to our mind. How our
Mm,
minds are busy doing or planning or ruminating, versus, let's let it settle and see if what arises from beingness.
yep.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Gotta just figure out which is which. Here, slideshow. Coming back to the slideshow. All right.
Mm,
So
good.
I'm going to have you take a minute, maybe a minute and a half, and write down if you can ask if there's any related to your goal. Is there any identity that you can uh, identify? Any false identity that you can discern, and any shoulds. Maybe you can't figure out who you're identifying, who or what you're identifying with, but maybe you can. Maybe there are some shoulds related to your goal, shoulds or should nots. I should do this, or I should not do this. I'm going to give you a minute and jot those down.
And just kind of go with this. It may not, it doesn't have to make sense. It just has to be something you jot down that occurs to you when Deborah's asking this question. Okay.
Right, that's a minute. When someone comes into my office and I'm working, and I'm like, oh, we got to list the shoulds. I usually say there's going to be at least 10 or 12, and just rattle them off. And I'll put I should, or I should at the top of the page, and I just write um, the shoulds, because we're programmed, we're conditioned, from those internalized parental voices or teachers' voices or some authority, or our own shoulds, what we think a good friend, a good mother, a good daughter, good husband, whatever, good worker. That's just one example. Another thing to look at is, are you stuck in the past or the future? Again, so I'm gonna go back to the beginning when I said, what am I going to give you from this manual? that for this class today. And I said, all right, how do I work with myself? So this is what I do. I ask myself, what's my goal? Sometimes I skip that step. I'll do that last, actually. I'll do the goal last. I'll have a body sensation, or I'll have a feeling come up, or I'll feel just off and I'll muscle test, am I in the future or the past? So that's why we're kind of starting here. I know this is step C, but essentially we're starting here. So, because I may not be able to identify what false identity I'm having, but I can identify the feelings or my sensations in my body, or if I'm a little off, like I feel like I'm not myself and I can't figure out who I'm identifying with or what, I'll say, am I in the future or am I in the past? Like my thinking. So this is a great questions to start with. And I'm just going to go over these really briefly for the sake of time. So you can ask, again, what you're feeling and list them. What are the thoughts and beliefs attached to those feelings? You can even trace the feeling back to your earliest memory. What happened at that time? So if there's kind of a conglomeration of feelings, sadness, maybe you're not going to be able, if it's just sadness and grief, maybe you're not going to be able to trace it back. But if it's sadness and grief with some disappointment and some humiliation, all right, that's a specific set of feelings. Trace that back, and you're probably going to find a memory, and then unpack that. What happened? What are the beliefs and decisions that were formed at that time? And I'm going to help you, unpack it even more in some later slides. Same thing with sensations. So I wake up and I have these big feelings, and that's how I explore them back here. If I wake up and my body's feeling yucky, then it's a good way to describe sensations, right? Yucky.
That's a scientific term.
I might describe the sensations to myself, like, oh, my neck really hurts and I can't move my head, and my shoulder feels heavy. It feels stuck. It feels like someone's sitting on my shoulder, huh? And this is why we describe it to ourselves, because, oh my goodness, there's the answer. When did the sensations or symptoms start? Like, oh, they started during my visit with my daughter. What happened at that time or shortly before the symptoms appeared? What feelings did you have when it happened? What beliefs or decisions were formed when it happened? And I gave you an example when I went to visit my daughter and got worried about her diet and her Crohn's disease and took her on my shoulders.
I want to add that on that one in particular, don't discard cliches, like he's a pain in the neck, or
yes,
I turned a blind eye to that, or those kinds of cliches. There's often some thread of truth that we can get back to.
yes, I feel cut off at the knees, or I can't stand someone, or I can't stomach someone. Yep. Or something. Yep. Great. So the other thing I do when I wake up, I'm saying when I wake up, but it can happen at any time during the day. Somehow I come home for lunch and my hubby will say, when did that headache start? Right? So these symptoms can happen at any time. I'm just referring to, a lot of times I wake up with them. So I wake up and I just feel off, or I feel body sensations, or I feel feelings. When I just feel off, often I'll go to, is it a false identity? Am I me? Or am I in the future, or I'm in the past? Just some quick shorthands. So here's the question for, am I in the future? And I'll say to myself, am I caught up in the future? If so, when? What's the reason I'm in the future? Am I planning? Am I worrying? Is there impending change? What are my feelings and beliefs regarding whatever it is that I uncover? Am I in the past? Is there a past incident, interaction, or traumatic event that I need to resolve? Review the scene. So I'm not going to go over this too much. I'm going to probably demo this because this can go into details. But again, back here with the body sensations and feelings, I am having you trace it back. What's the earliest memory of that set of feelings? And then you can jump ahead to the next slide. Or what are the symptoms and when did they start? Maybe it was just 2 days ago, right? So then you can go to the past. So if you're going to the past with physical symptoms or with feelings, you can use this to help you unpack it. So I'm not going to go over this too much. Again, I can send you the written version of this, or even the slides. I can send you a copy of the slides.
And we're about at that 10-minute mark you wanted. So it's about
Yep.
10 after 8. So,
Yep, we're almost done with the, great. We're almost done. So again, this is just more of what I'm going to demonstrate. So if there's a past incident or trauma, in that past incident, what did you conclude? Anyway, we're going to demo this. So then you want to address the blockage or imbalance. You want to, so we've uncovered, we have a goal. We have what's in your way. We have feelings. We have some beliefs. Maybe we have a decision. So we've uncovered, for me, we've uncovered that I've carried my daughter on my shoulders. At times when I'm working with my business, I'm identified either as my grandfather or my grandmother, and I can't seem to go into the gray. I either have to be her or I have to be him. So I'm either like the doer or I'm the beer. There's no like gray area. So I've uncovered those blockages, and now what do I do with them? So there's a couple different ways to address them. And usually I do some kind of meditative exercise or guided meditation to help you remember your wholeness, to give you a reframe, recontextualize, help invite you to let go of the narrative. All of those good things. So, and again, I'm going to demo this. So we're going to I'm going to demo the last few slides. I'm going to demo the going into the past, unpacking everything, and then we'll do the guided meditation together if we have time. I might
all right, we've got just under 20 minutes.
Yep. So you might have
Gonna be jam-packed.
Yep. We might have an invitation to stay a little longer if you want. So we need a volunteer from the audience who would like to, and you can stay, if you volunteer, you can stay behind your screen. You don't have to come forward, but if you would like to, it's more juicy that way to volunteer and be seen, but you don't have to. Who would like to volunteer?
We have a volunteer, Marietta.
All right. Yay! Wonderful. Thank you. So
can you unmute yourself? There you go. Yeah.
Perfect. Thanks for volunteering. So I'm going to do speaker view. So for our recording. So it will go between me and her, hopefully. For some reason, though, Kathy's, maybe mute yourself through this, Kathy.
I am muted. Marietta, say something.
Hello, testing.
Okay, you're there. Perfect. Wonderful. So I'm going to just go back to the slides just to, well, you know what? I'm going to not, you can refer to the slides. I'm going to, because I know this by heart, I don't need to refer to them. I wanted you all to be able to refer to them, but you can, I can send this to you so you can see it. So you're just going to see it as a demo. So first step is a goal, and would you dare to share your goal? You don't have to, but you I want to invite you to.
Yeah, my goal is to be more public facing in my work life.
Wonderful. And give me just a little bit, one sentence, two sentences of what that means to you.
I think doing more group work, public workshops. I just did a podcast, just kind of speaking up about taboo or, kind of therapeutic work and spiritual work.
Nice. So I'm going to ask the question that I wrote in the demo. Don't want you to think about it. First thing that comes into your mind, maybe you already wrote down an answer. What's in your way?
Fear.
Fear of?
Showing up. I could probably say a lot of things.
So, what are you afraid is going to happen if you show up?
I'll be challenged or ridiculed or humiliated.
So I want you to think about being challenged and ridiculed, and humiliation comes up, but what other feelings come up? If you imagine.
Overwhelm. Going blank. I said grief, but I don't feel it in my body. But my brain might be bringing that one in. Confusion. Yeah, sort of like losing myself when fear comes in and there's an audience of some sort. That's like embarrassment.
Embarrassment.
Like lost, like a feeling of disorientation, disconnection.
Loss, disconnection, and disorientation. Beautiful. You're so self-aware.
For better or worse.
For some of you, you may not, it's going to be okay if you can only identify a couple feelings. Mariette is great. She's identified like 10, but no worries if you just get a couple. So there's this package of feelings, humiliation, overwhelm, going blank. It's not quite a feeling, but grief, maybe, confusion, losing oneself, losing yourself, embarrassment, lost, disconnected, disoriented. So that package of feelings, trace it back to your earliest memory of that group of feelings.
It came immediately. It was like being in school when I'm called on and I didn't expect it. And everything that I knew before goes blank. I'm getting kind of a shooting feelings of auditions for singing or dancing where my body breaks down. I can't dance, or my voice breaks down because I'm so afraid. Just how many times I've lost myself within the school setting. Public moments of expressing. Because of fear, I couldn't access reality or my own experience, my truer self.
So can you go to the earliest memory?
Earliest. I feel like school, maybe 7 or 8.
Beautiful. So it doesn't have to be exact, like you said, 7 or 8. You don't even have to remember which classroom you're in, but I'm going to have you close your eyes. I'm going to have you review the scene. I'm going to have you actually feel your body, feel your emotions. The teacher calls on you. You're surprised. Go over it in your mind. Tell me when you're done.
Mm. Yeah.
Any other feelings come up than the ones you listed?
Yeah, just like kind of a hazy. I don't know what you would call that, like just kind of spacey, like a little floaty, maybe. It's like a sense of
Like, what do they call that?
disassociation.
Does it feel like that?
Yeah.
Hazy, floaty, disassociation. So where in your body are those feelings? What are you feeling in your body sensations?
A gripping in my jaw was the first thing I noticed. Like my vision going a little bit. Like when I opened my eyes, it was like everything was fuzzy. I felt my shoulders kind of clenching. Um, Now I can feel kind of like the top of my like lower back butt area like gripping, but I didn't notice that. I was sort of disassociated away from that before. My breathing got really tight.
Your breathing got tight? Anything else?
Kind of a weird push in like the back behind my heart, like a feeling of being kind of pushed forward. Like I wasn't,
Hmm.
yeah, there's a story with it of like I wasn't ready.
Hmm.
I didn't raise my hand. I wasn't ready. I didn't make the call.
Hmm. So I'm going to write that down. So I wasn't ready.
Spoken like a true preemie.
So for those of you watching, again, you don't have to have you might not have all those body sensations. Mariette is very in tune, and you may only feel like, oh, I feel something in the pit of my stomach. That may be all you get. That's fine. So when you're doing this, if you want to try this at home and you're going through this and you only get a couple body sensations, don't compare yourself. So in that scene, what did you conclude? Don't think about it too much. First thing that comes into your mind, what did you conclude?
Like I cannot speak in front of people. I can't even exist in front of large groups of people because I'm not even there, So it was a feeling of like, yeah, don't ever try and land inside yourself because you're not going to succeed at that. Which kind of transferred to a lot of feeling, a lot of moments of, it's not just being called on in school, unfortunately.
So based on that conclusion, I cannot exist in front of large groups of people. What decision did you make? So therefore, I'm going to or not going to.
I'm laughing because I work one-on-one as a therapist. So it's like somehow I came into a profession where I work one-on-one very comfortably.
Yep. But back then, in age 7 or 8, what did you decide?
What did I decide? To not ever to be fake, like to organize away from my existence, my true existence. Find a way to make that not happen again.
So find a way to make that not happen. And the way that you came up with it was to be fake.
Some version of that. It's a little harsh wording, but find an easy way to exist enough, but not too much where these feelings can get touched again. Ugh.
Often our ego does use harsh language. So, so we have the conclusion, we have the decision. I'm going to muscle test. There's 1 belief, 2 beliefs, 3 beliefs, 4 beliefs, 3 beliefs. In that scene you reviewed, what did you believe about you?
I'm dumb.
By dumb, do you mean
Like I'm incapable of knowing anything. I mean, I think it's probably more like um like there's another, it might be a different one, but like I'm fucked up. Like there's something wrong with me. Excuse my language. But there's something wrong with me.
and there's probably several people on the call that can relate to this, to having that belief sometime in childhood. You know, I've stumbled on that one.
Yeah.
So the second one, let's see, what would it be? So it's a belief about large groups of people in general, groups, community, communication, safety. What's it about? Education. So what did you, in that scene, what did you believe about education or school?
That it doesn't have my best interest in mind.
And would the word be school
Yeah.
back then? Yeah. School doesn't have.
Or maybe even institutions.
Mm,
Like,
institutions.
yeah. That's
Yep.
interesting.
Don't have my best interest in mind. Last belief, what did you believe about the higher power, God, spirit, source, whatever name you might have for it, or if you have a belief in a higher power?
Back then or now?
Back then, in that scene, what did you believe about the higher power?
I would rather go hang out in that field. So I'll go there and live.
So I'd rather hang out in that realm. What's the word you had for it back then?
Gosh, I don't know. Maybe like universe or spirit realm. Like I didn't have much religion.
In spirit realm. So that's not really a belief.
Oh,
So, but I wrote it down because it's important. But what's the belief about that realm?
it's a safer place. Like God won't put me on the spot, or like spirit won't put me on the spot and try to like trick me and like mess with me. Put me in a stressful situation so that I can't exist and show up in what I know and feel and is true. My being, you know.
Did you have a belief that spirit didn't exist in school? Spirit didn't live in school
Yeah, I think so.
or in institutions?
Yeah, I don't remember ever I never would have put that together, but they were very much split up. Which is funny because I went to a grad school that was based in Buddhism and spirit transpersonal, so I feel like I kind of have healed a little bit of that, but this might be the residual stuff. That's cool. I hadn't thought of that.
So is there anything else that any other belief or any other insights related to that older memory that might be applicable to Any other insights? Let's just stop there.
When you were muscle testing safety, that caught my attention, and community. Safety had a little more like flesh to it of like, these institutions aren't safe.
Mm,
Like they're not interested in regulating their students so they can actually show up,
mm,
or police or whatever. I can see where it's shown up in my adult life. Like, this is not a safe institutions aren't safe. They're not interested in safety, and therefore like existence or embodiment or truth.
beautiful. And now can you see these, how that older memory is getting, and these beliefs and decisions and conclusions is getting in the way of your goal?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, like maybe if social media were an institution, or like, that they're a larger, the bigger public includes anyone and everyone, and that's like doesn't feel like a safe place to hang out. Because I can't ensure that it's, that kind of holding that I'm used to in my smaller little.
Another way of saying it is that if I had this belief that God doesn't exist in school or spirit doesn't exist in school, and if I'm wanting to teach a class and essentially like right, essentially I'm having a school, and so I had a lot of inner conflict about that because of that belief. Yours is slightly different, but similar overlap.
Yeah. Yeah. Ugh.
Deborah, I'm going to insert here that we're at the end of our time that we
Thank
said we
you.
would be at. But I
Thank
also
you.
want to say thank you, Marietta. That was
That
great
is,
to
yeah.
listen in on. Yeah. And I don't know if you're like totally done yet, but I just wanted you to the time.
So I was asking you if you saw the um how this was in the way of your goal. And do you feel complete with that answer?
Yeah. I think I can sit with it more
Mhm.
and
Beautiful.
maybe flush it out for myself.
Beautiful. All right. So what I'd like to offer is to do this last meditation, which is only 5 to 7 minutes, for whoever would like to stay on the call, and to say goodbye to anyone who is counting on being done by 8:30 to honor my time agreements with them. So I'm saying goodbye to anyone who needs to leave and inviting those who would like to stay and um, have the meditation and clear their blockages, whatever they're ready to let go of, and energize their goal and give them an experience of a reminder of their wholeness. So if you're going to stay, I'm going to go back to this picture because this is, so you can close your eyes, you can look at the picture, whatever you'd like to do while I'm guiding you through this meditative exercise. All right. First step of our meditative exercise is to, I usually read the goal to the client, but I'm going to just have you, each of you, think of read your goal or think of it. Bring it into your mind. And now soften your breath. Soften your belly. Let your breath come down into your belly. And imagine yourself in your favorite place in nature. So I'm going to this, that's why I have this picture here. I'm like out in the cosmos on this giant cosmic whale, whatever he is. But you can go wherever you want, whether it's a real place or an imagined place out in nature or out in the cosmos. Once you're there, I'm going to invite you to open up all of your senses to the beauty of that space. Hear the sounds, hear the breezes. Maybe there's a waterfall, maybe there's crickets, whatever it is. Open up your senses to all of your senses, hearing, vision, smell and taste the scents. Feel the ground under you, feel the sun, feel the breezes on your hair. Maybe you reach out and touch some foliage or some sand. Know you're standing in sacred space. You are part of this sacred place. You are one with the sky, the trees, the earth, the cosmos. You are one with your surroundings. Ask to be shown who you truly are. Ask to have an experience of your true self. This may come as a vision, sense, feeling. It may appear as a symbol, message, sound. Allow whatever comes or doesn't come to be perfect. If you want to, jot it down. Remember, in your essence, you are whole, complete, and perfect just as you are. You are pure, holy, and innocent just as you were created. You need do nothing. You need no one or nothing to complete you, fix you, heal you, or teach you. You embody heaven, spirit, and wisdom. Your natural state is unlimited, innate love, power, and creativity. You are connected, one with all beings, and you are loved. Take the next few moments and be with all that you are. As much time as you need. When you feel complete, you can slowly and gently open your eyes. I like to suggest after this particular, I call them balances, meditative exercises. What I like to recommend is that you, even if you didn't get a message or a feeling or a vision, to write or draw afterwards. And you'll be amazed at what comes through. So if you have the time to do that, I suggest it. If you'd like me to send you either the slides or the workbook, please let me know. Maybe I'll just send it a copy to everyone, but I'm on the fence whether to do that or not. So if you want a copy, let me know. And thank you so much. Oh, one more thing. If you want to know about learning more, I have a training coming up starting in December. Am I sharing? Yes, I'm sharing.
Yes.
Path of the Healer. It's my year-long certification training. This year it's going to be only 8 months because, anyway, don't need to explain why. It's the first section is a 5-day training called Level 1, December 13th through 17th, and this is can be a standalone. People can sign up just for the first level training without signing up for the whole 8 months. But if you want to learn more, you can go to my website and go to the menu selection, Path of the Healer, or type in returningtowholeness.com/Path of the Healer with dashes /
Okay.
And I forgot to mention that there's an early registration deadline. Get 10% off if you sign up by the 13th of this month, which is coming up soon. And I'm offering anyone who's signed up for this, came to this tonight, 15% off.
All right, I think we probably should send out that message to everyone who was on
I will do that.
this call. And we have a couple requests for the material too in the chat.
Excellent.
So great, excellent.
Thank you all so much. This is really wonderful. Thank you so much, Marietta.
Thank you.
For being the demo person and being brave. So appreciate it. Have a wonderful night.
Good night, everyone. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Hi. Thank you, guys. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Bye-bye.
Bye.